The journey to electrifying our roads, of course, begins with the right framework and policies, and that, in a way, lies at the core of what we are doing here. And our first fireside session, Fueling the Future, Policy Benchmarks and Regulatory Framework, will basically outline the path that India is taking in that direction and also needs to tread in order to make electric mobility and sustainable mobility a reality for the country. And the rules that we are setting will, of course, determine the roadmap for that journey. Here to speak are Gopalakrishnan, VC, Director, Automotive and EV, Government of Telangana, and Mr. Santosh Iyer, MD and CEO of Mercedes-Benz, India. Please join me in welcoming them onto the stage.
Good evening, everyone. I think for me it's a pleasure to be here in Hyderabad and also nice to catch up actually a briefly outside. And when I heard you, talk about Telangana, talk about the EV policy, even I was intrigued by this fantastic state, what's happening here. So maybe can you throw a bit more light and then maybe we take the conversations forward.
Certainly, Mr. Santosh, and I'm happy that you're here. A lot of activity in the manufacturing side happening in Telangana, also on the technical, tech center wise. So just to double click after a kind of a 30,000 feet viewpoint. So like I mentioned earlier, it's been 3 years and we've already achieved about 21,000 crores of investment in manufacturing. And this is not just in electric vehicle manufacturing, but also its supplier chain and also charging station manufacturers and also battery cell manufacturing. So what we have now come up with is something called Telangana Mobility Valley. So this is going to be the overarching thing. We have we are looking to aim at 50,000 crores of additional investment through this Telangana Mobility Valley. So this valley, it's going to have 4 clusters, 3 or 4 clusters. One is the energy park itself. It's called Divitipalli, where Amar Raja recently has promised to invest 9,500 crores of investment. So this is into cell manufacturing. They are going to have anode, cathode, electrolyte separators manufacturing over there. They are going to bring the whole ecosystem. And also we are looking at couple of circular economy guys, to take back the cells which are coming as bad quality from the manufacturing line, also from the vehicles later on, and to kind of give it another repurpose it or reuse the minerals in the battery. So that is one part of the story. Second is the EV manufacturing itself, which is happening majorly in, we have a 10,500 acre area called Zahirabad. This is about 100 kilometers from where we are now. And that is going to be the next manufacturing zone in terms of not just automotive and EV, but also for pharma, for medical devices, in the precision machines and tooling, etc. So there, you might have heard of the big name Mahindra and Mahindra. I know where you're from. So, so Mahindra have a big facility there. They have 2 things under one roof. One is the automotive manufacturing and one is the tractor side manufacturing for farm equipments. So put together, they have about 4,500 people employed. So in that area, we are having already some supplier base of Mahindras, and additionally investments into 3-wheelers, into 2-wheelers, charging stations are happening over there. Apart from this, we have a very large bus manufacturer called Electra. So they have also invested, additionally invested into setting up a new facility close by. It's called Sitarampur. The area is called Sitarampur. So these are a couple of clusters that I told about. Maybe we can go deeper into that later, but I would also want the audience to hear a lot about the Mercedes story in India, how it has been at Pune, and what you feel your goals are going to be going forward. What are the learnings from the past? Please.
No, thanks, Mr. Gopalakrishnan. And I will also come back on a policy topic, but just to also let the audience know that, we were the first luxury manufacturer in India. We came to India 28 years back in '94, setting up a plant in Pune, 8 hours drive, you can say, from here. And then we have been there, and, we have come a long way. In our internal parlance, we call it strategic patience. You know, we have been always believed in India, the growth story, and we have been here. Coming specifically to EV, because this conclave is all about electrification and driving this, 2020 we first introduced the first luxury EV in India, and that time the journalists, media, stakeholders asked us, is India ready for EV? You know, that was, so I could correlate your policy. You said 2018 you had a policy, 2020 you rolled out, and when we announced the first car, they all said, why are you launching an EV? Today, after 3 years, we just launched the new SUV 3 weeks back or 2 weeks back. That question doesn't exist, at least. Now the question is, how many more are you going to launch? How many are you going to sell? Are consumers going to buy? So I think in last 3 years, and we have to remember 2 years of COVID in between, you know, that was also took a toll. A lot has changed, and there is a bigger adoption, at least there. But this is all coming from a very powertrain thinking also. So if you ask me about the experiences, I think one thing that COVID showed all of us is what can sustainability look like. You know, in this fast-paced world, all of us, I am sure even in Telangana, in Hyderabad, when there were no cars on the road, the environment changed. You could see the birds coming back. You could see all the ecosystem changing. And I think that's a big proof point that yes, we are part of the problem as OEMs, as customers, as stakeholders in society. So for us as Mercedes-Benz globally, we want, you know, for us it's about sustainability, and we are saying that we are the first automotive organization to say that we will go carbon neutral in 2039. And to become carbon neutral, EV is one of the ways, because it's not about tailpipe emission, it's also about recyclability, circular economy. How do we again recycle this? So we are working on this even in India. In fact, we are also ensuring our dealer partners use green energy, a lot of investments. We were the first to introduce the locally produced EV, which is an EQS at the top end of the spectrum. So a lot happening, but where we feel jittery is also the policies. You know, coming back on this topic, there is a lot of, I would say, red carpet by states. There is also a lot of policies from the center, and I should really appreciate this 5% GST on EVs. I think is a very, very big support by the central government to push EV adoption. On the other side, a lot of states are also giving free, you know, registration incentives, and I think Telangana was one of the foremost states, and I can say that, you know, Telangana was the best state for Mercedes-Benz in India in EV adoption. We actually went up. 10% of our cars sold in Telangana were EVs. But now again, we see a bit of change in the policy. So any comments on long-term view on policy? So firstly, this is just a registration topic, but you also said a lot of other EV policies are in place in Telangana. So what do you see in terms of sustenance? How long can OEMs and consumers look into sustenance?
Look, so from a state government perspective, right, we are equally interested in growing not just the manufacturing side of the story, but also in adoption, having more adoption of electric vehicles, particularly the self-owned vehicles, like could be two-wheelers or four-wheelers, right? Those are the main options. So from the beginning, I think we've been giving the road tax. I mean, that has been there, and also the registration fee has been waived. So these two things have been waived from, I think, last 3 years. So what has happened is we had volume figures. We had two-wheeler. We said we will give up to 2 lakh volumes. We said that for electric autos, we would give 10,000 cargo and 10,000 passenger vehicles. Waiver would be given. And we said for buses about 2,000 numbers. Even for cars, I think we said 5,000 plus 5,000 was the ratio, I think, private and taxis. And also we mentioned about electric tractors, that these two would be waived for electric tractors as well. But when you look at the whole gamut of things, over the last 3 years, a lot of pickup has happened in the electric three-wheeler cargo segment. And in the two-wheeler space also a lot of pickup has happened. So if you look at the adoption side in Telangana, it is more in these two smaller form factors, and of course in the passenger vehicle as well. So a call had to be taken where we had to decide whether we would still give 100% of the thing back, registration fee and road tax, or whether we would extend it to a certain period, see some more adoption, look at it, decide based on the amount of adoption that is there, and then kind of taper it down. So that is still in discussion. In fact, some of the other states, I don't want to mention, but very neighboring states, They have said that up to 2025 they would continue with this, and then maybe after that they would reduce it to 50% or maybe completely stop the subsidy or the incentives. So in our case also it is still in discussion, but for the time being we have kind of stopped it, and then on an accrual or this thing basis we would be giving back. But to add on to the other benefits that the policy talks about, right? It talks of, one is on the supplier side, one is on the demand side, which we just spoke about, and one is on the charging station development, the whole plan of it. So for the third portion, we have an entity called TS Redco, Telangana State Renewable Energy Development Corporation. So they take care of it. We have about 425 charging stations in the state. I'm sure most of you would not even have known that there are 425 charging stations in the state, because there is no one website or one. Exactly. So we have not yet started marketing that point, but we should. In the city of Hyderabad itself, we have about 40 plus, close to 60 DC charging stations, fast charging stations. So private players have all set it up, and the plan is to have additional 600 charging stations in the city of Hyderabad going forward in the next 2 to 2.5 years. And for the whole of Telangana, additionally have about 3,000 charging stations. So that will stop the worry of, you owning a EV car but not able to go the distance, and range anxiety and stuff. The second thing we are trying to solve in the adoption framework is for the employees to have, electrify their transport. So even for me, when I think of my next vehicle, I would want it to be an electric vehicle. So where could I charge apart from my house, right, overnight or whatever? But when I go to my place of work, is there sufficient charging stations or points, guns? So all of this, for this, we have mandated about 25% of the parking space in commercial places, commercial locations, as well as these IT parks, to have flexibility for charging electric vehicles. So that is also picking up very well. Now I think already have touched about 10%. Every IT park has EV charging. There are two-wheeler rentals also available in many parks. So that has also helped in adoption, and in fact, anyone who's thinking of their next vehicle, they would now, without a doubt, choose electric vehicle, at least in Hyderabad. There is enough charging stations available everywhere. The other side of the equation, which is manufacturing, we have a lot of two-wheeler players. We have enough three-wheeler electric manufacturers here to call ourselves as the electric three-wheeler hub of India in terms of manufacturing. So if you look at the two-wheeler story, you might say that Hosur has a lot of two-wheeler companies, which is true. But when you come to three-wheelers, we have it. And even for bus manufacturing, we have a very large player and a couple of others also joining soon. So policy-wise, it has been 3 years. The policy was for 10 years, but we know that we have to give more to it, and to attract investments, to increase the adoption rates, we should do more policy-wise. So the revamped version of the policy, it is already in draft stage. In fact, from all the industry players here, I know that you would be an entrepreneur in different or a business in in different category of EV. You could be a manufacturer. You might be in the BMS side, or on the software side, or on the charging station itself. So please do suggest, connect with us, from the government, and do suggest. We are open to your suggestions, and the draft is already ready. We are just waiting for the right time for the internal discussion to happen and it to get approved. Mostly by January or February the coming year, for sure, the adoption framework at least will have a very major change, and hopefully you wouldn't even have to rely on the benefits, monetary benefit, fiscal benefits. Rather, we would have green corridors, and we would have areas where only green vehicles would be allowed. All this probably would come.
That sounds really promising. And just to be on the charging side, from a policy perspective, one is, in metro cities, I'm not sure of Hyderabad, but in Bombay, Delhi, I keep hearing a lot of housing societies having resistance to charging and setting up. So are you looking at a policy framework for these societies? Because a lot of our customers may also stay. And second, these charging stations that you mentioned, are they fast chargers, or are they simple 12 kilowatt or 22 kilowatt AC chargers? So what capacity of chargers are you looking at?
So you mean the additional 3,000, is it?
The additional, and you also mentioned you already have 400 odd, right?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
so we have 425 of that. We have about 60 fast chargers. This is the higher range kilowatt category. And the other question on, the gated communities setting up chargers. So there was a very big exercise done by ASCI, Administrative Staff College of India, and TS Redco, Telangana State Renewable Energy Development Corporation. So they have come up with some guidelines. So we have seen that in some locations there were some issues of fire in the basement, etc., when charging was happening. So even when the electric car has all of these what do you call it? These interlocks and stuff where when the temperature goes up, the charging is stopped or whatever it is, or when it is 100%, it stops by itself. Or there could be much more. You're the right guy to talk about it, but. From our perspective, we thought that that particular incident where a fire happened while charging was sufficient enough to look at it very seriously, and that is why the whole exercise happened. And now it has been decided that at least for the moment, that basement we will not be allowing setting up charging stations, but on the ground level where it is open, players can set up charging stations, and that can be multiple chargers also. It can be for fleets. I mean, multiple different vehicles can be charged. Yeah. So I think I would also like to understand from you the ESG side of the story, more of sustainability. So from Mercedes' point of view, what else on the skilling side? What else more on the ESG side would you have? You have kind of initiated
No,
in India.
yeah, I think it's a very valid question now because sustainability. Incidentally, we are in October, and 26th October is World Sustainability Day. So I think we, as a brand, also are planning to celebrate this as a sustainability month because to spread awareness. Today we see even within our core consumers, their awareness and responsibility towards sustainability as a topic is still to catch up. I think the younger generations are much more aware. Even my children, for example, are much more conscious and aware than the current generation. And I think as responsible brands, we need to spread this. What we are doing, if you see our plant in Pune, it's 100% run by green energy. So already we are ensuring that it's a fully solar powered balance. We are buying wind energy to run our plant to produce all the car lines. The second, we are also looking at a lot of recyclability. So even today, many of our cars have recycled elements, and that helps for a circular economy moving forward. The big question, which many, I would say, consumers ask is batteries. First is they say, are the batteries sourced responsibly? Because you read the press, are they sourced from mines with child labor, water not being there? So here we can be proud to say that we are sourcing it responsibly from certified mines. And on the other side, this entire tendency, what happens to a battery at the end of 10 years, 15 years. So first we thought, let's give an 8-year warranty. Now we give a 10-year battery warranty. But customers still feel what happens after 10 years. And there it's a lot of education because these batteries don't degrade as like laptops or phones, and these batteries have second life. So even in India, we have tied up with players who are able to take back the batteries, give a second life in terms of storage for power generation or recycle them. And I can say that, we set up a recycling base back in Germany, and now we are able to take the batteries back there. We have been able to achieve 96% recyclability of our battery. This includes rare earth minerals like cobalt, lithium, which means if you buy a car today, run it on battery, after 15 or 20 years, when the battery doesn't even have a second life, which is secondary storage, you can actually recycle 96% of the battery. And I think that's a big achievement. And my colleagues are actually working towards 100%. So we are fully committed for a carbon neutral world. Our targets are by 2039, we want to be a carbon neutral company. So it goes beyond tailpipe emissions. It is full circularity for the car. And that's a big commitment from our brand, even in India as well.
Good to hear that Mercedes EQS is a guilt-free buy.
Yeah.
So
I think we are on time. So we will then hand it over back to the host then. Thank you very much. Thanks for this listening. Thank you.
Thank you.